Welcome to the Shared Desk, episode 97. Inching ourselves towards 100.
I know. It feels like an absolute miracle that we made it past episode 96, considering all the different ups and downs and technical errors that we were dealing with. But we are here for episode 97 of the Shared Desk. I am your host, T. Morris.
You've been called the Da Vinci of our time. What do you say to that?
Absolutely ridiculous. I don't paint.
That's true. I don't.
And what do you say to your other nickname, the Merchant of Death?
That's not bad.
That isn't bad. I kind of dig that. That's got that Metallica vibe happening. I kind of dig it. And sitting across from me,
I'm Pip Valentine.
that's our spirit animal right there. We're kind of in a metal mood because
we just put up our Halloween decorations.
We just put up our Halloween decorations. If you just missed that, you can check our previous stream where we were. We just did a pop-up stream. Pop-up streams, by the way, if you're new to this stream, if you're new to this channel, this is the Tea Monster channel. I usually bring a little bit of Destiny to your life, but I also do this thing called pop-up streams where I will just do a pop-up, just go up and say, hey, what's up, here's what I'm doing. And we just finished our preliminary, our preliminary Halloween decorations.
Yes, I think we got the majority of them up.
We have a few more touches. We need to do inside, and then we unveil them on Halloween. We don't go completely off the hook, but when Halloween comes and people are going through the streets,
gangsta.
That's what we hear over and over and over
And
again.
in fact, we are joined today by our new Halloween spirit animal,
Disco Twitchy.
Disco Twitchy, who
Disco
is a
Twitchy.
skull covered in plush
Crushed
purple velvet.
Yeah, I picked him up and I was like, oh yeah, I gotta have this.
This
This
has got to be our new friend. So he's going to hang out with us.
So, for those of you who are finding us from this weekend at the fabulous James River Writers Festival, thank you very much. For those of you who are finding us from my stream, thank you very much. We are the Shared Desk. This is episode 97, and we are here to talk about the aforementioned James River Writers Festival.
Yes,
that's going to be our that's going to be the show pretty much on a whole.
I think it's a good convention to talk about for people who want to start conventions because it's very well run.
It is. It is absolute. I mean, it is.
There are some primo things they do.
Clockwork. It was run like clockwork.
And there are things that they do that other conventions should really do.
I agree.
That's how Dad did it. That's how America does it.
And James River.
And it's worked out pretty well so far.
You really need to stop obsessing over that fuzzy skull. If you want fuzz,
skull.
baby, I can just rub up against you like that.
No, he's a nice
I can
fuzzy.
rub up against you like that.
He's a
Come
nice
on.
fuzzy purple skull.
I can rub up against you like that with this beautiful fuzz.
I think for now I'll stick with
It's finally growing back in, Chap, and now I'm in that itchy phase.
Yeah.
So, where do we begin? Well, first off, the James River Writers Conference has been going.
Is this the second one that we've done?
This is the second one we've done. This is the 8th one
that
they've done.
Nice.
And the James River Writers group, they just call themselves the James River Writers.
Yes.
And the James River Writers are a local Richmond-based group.
Very
this is
active.
my hometown. They're extremely active. They do everything from talk shows to workshops to everything.
Lots of meetings, support each other, all of that good stuff.
Really good group. We kind of came across them. When was the first one? So this is our second one, but the first one we did 4 years ago?
I want to say it was about 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the one where they invited me.
So I got to set the stage for you, chat. I am the Richmond-born native.
I am not from Richmond.
No, not with that accent. You are not from Richmond. But I'm the Richmond-born native, and Pip gets the invite to be a speaker, and they go, if you'd like to bring your husband T. Morris, as your plus one, you're more than welcome to. And so the running gag the running gag was, hello, James River Writers. My name is Pip Valentine. I am your guest here, James River Writers, and here is my plus one. And yeah, I did.
Well, at least this time they invited both of us.
I did not let them live it
Well,
down.
that's probably why they invited both of us.
I think they made sure that they invited both of us. But so the James River Writers Conference is there once a year. I guess you could say
blowout extravaganza.
Their throwdown.
Yeah,
it's their throwdown. And
held at the Richmond Convention Center every year that we've been.
Yeah, and that's where
it just happens there.
Right. So, how would you describe the oeuvre? Because I did try to stream off of the
that was
off the convention floor. That didn't work out so well. Yeah. Turns out that I got spoiled when I went to TwitchCon, and I did not have the Wi-Fi.
Well, it's not James River Writers' fault, because conventions they charge through the nose for Wi-Fi because they know they've got you.
And if you're TwitchCon, the last thing you want is people going back to their hotel rooms.
TwitchCon obviously had to.
They had to have it. James River, not so much.
Yes.
Maybe get out a tweet, and that's about it. Yes, David. The reason I'm in, and so real quick for those of you who are just listening on the feed, we are streaming this live. We're streaming the recording live. So you're missing Pip's somewhat obsessive nature,
fondling of this purple skull.
The purple skull. I put us in just chatting because that is a velvet skull. That is a velvet skull, David. And Pi just said, "Nice skull, Pip."
I know. We could not obsess about the skull.
The reason we chose just chatting over talk shows and podcasts is I've noticed an uptick in new audiences and new streamers in just chatting versus talk shows and podcasts. So that's why I'm here. That's why I'm
chatting.
And we're chatting. We're chatting about the James River Writers Conference. Now, even though I did try to stream, I wanted to get your opinion. What were your thoughts on the crowd at the James? This was actually the second time in a row that they have sold out.
Yes.
At the James River Writers.
So definitely, I think it must be obviously getting more popular.
Yeah.
People are aware of the, there's a good quality of people that they are getting in there.
Put the skull down, please.
I can't put the skull. All right, I'm putting the skull down. There's a good quality. There's a good representative, diverse slice of writers.
Yeah.
There, which is really cool. Mm-hmm. There's a variety of genres as well, literary, all our favorite genres, literary,
right.
romance, everything. Everything is represented there, which is really nice.
Another big pull for the James River Writers Conference, if you're looking to get started in a writing career, if you're looking to move forward in your career, they
have a good amount of agents, right?
There's a nice turnout of both editors and agents that show up, as well as writers.
Yes, so they do quite a bit of pitch meetings, and they have the dating game for agents, which I
feel embarrassed about because apparently my name was called, but I'm.
There was a lot going on.
I missed that.
Inappropriate.
It wasn't inappropriate. It was just I was exhausted on day 2, and all I wanted to do was just
do our panels,
and then come home. And so it was at around 2:30. I looked down, and I was like, I'm missing something. Oh, I'm missing the dating game. Well, what are the chances of my name being picked?
And 100%.
Yep.
100%.
Yep. Now, that being said, I did have a pitch meeting. They managed to get in a pitch meeting with me with an agent that dealt specifically with thrillers and suspense. Mm-hmm. So I was able to talk to her about my book.
So you were able to talk to the ones that would have been dealing with thrillers.
Yes.
Anyway.
Yes. So I was happy about that. And then to kind of pump it up even further, I met another agent during the event. Turns out she was a gamer, and so she actually not. I don't even know how I got into pitching. I told her I didn't want to I wasn't prepared to pitch, but and we're going to talk about how I got a little courage juice in me before that.
Yes.
Event. Yeah. But
Saturday night.
But I did pitch to her my book, and she proceeded to tell me some of the challenges. She didn't tell me that it was a bad idea. She just said, here are the challenges you're going to be facing.
Yeah, which is fair enough.
And I appreciated that. So it gave me something to think about. Now, Pi just asked how many people attend the
It was really hard to tell because
we only took up a section, not the whole conference floor.
Yes,
but just a section.
It was just a sort of a long section. I don't know. It looked real at times. It looked really empty, but that was because everybody was in
a panel.
In the panels,
Everybody was in a panel,
and the panels were largely well attended.
Yeah, I would go out on a limb and say somewhere between 1,000 to 2,000.
Yeah, I would
easily
think that would
1,000 to 2,000.
Yeah,
and it, like I said, all the panels are very well attended.
Mm-hmm.
Not just the ones about the business, but the ones about craft.
there were some good craft panels.
There was some really nice stuff. So what did you talk about?
My first one was crafting compelling characters. That was on the Saturday, and it was packed.
It was.
There were people standing at the back,
Yeah.
and that sort of thing.
Standing room only. Yeah.
I had a little imposter syndrome because I was sitting there.
You drive me crazy about this.
I know, but look, when the moderator is introducing you and she's like, okay, here's a PhD, Pip, and a scientist that goes to Antarctica. Yeah, they just sort of... And I was the
Good luck, Guardian.
Yeah, I mean,
I was the only real genre writer
Yeah.
there, I think.
Yeah, you were.
Oh, one of the professors, she wrote historical fiction, but not spec fic or anything.
doesn't necessarily mean you were the nerdiest person on there. There was another panelist up there who had written a book about a black cosplayer who had been killed at a convention, an incident with the police and yada yada yada. So that was actually quite fascinating. So the nerd quotient was very high.
Yes.
But it wasn't a science fiction convention. This was a writing convention.
And the other thing that's different about the James River is that when you go into the rooms, it's not just chairs. Everybody has like a table, so it's almost a bit more like a university lecture.
It is.
And everybody's like scribbling away notes, and they're very earnest and very focused.
Yeah, the amount of note taking at this event is pretty intense.
Yes.
To say the least.
People are getting their money's worth out of the event.
yeah.
So, and that was a good panel. The other good thing about the James River that many conventions could learn from is that the moderators are always well prepared.
Oh my. Whoa.
They don't just go, well, everybody just introduce yourself.
Yeah, no.
And tell us a bit about yourself. No, these people have read your book.
At least one of your books.
They've
At
read
least
one of your books.
Yeah.
They've read your bios.
Yeah.
They have them written up. They introduce you
Yeah.
in a proper fashion.
I mean, to give you an example of this, Chad, Bill Bloom, who is one of our moderators during the
And also a
weekend.
collaborator with the ministry.
He's a collaborator with the ministry. He's a really good guy. Bill actually wound up becoming a collaborator with the ministry's podcast Tales in the Archives, and over at ministryofpeculiaroccurrences.com.
Mm-hmm.
And we all met at the very first one. And I remember he tried to read, I kid you not, he tried to read all of Pip's books, all of my books, and then all of our books combined. And he actually apologized to us on the first
that
panel.
he hadn't got through them all.
That he hadn't gotten through them all. And I'm just like, are you kidding me?
Yeah,
Dude.
yeah.
I
So
mean,
the moderation...
They prep
The
hard.
moderation level is... I can't think of another convention that does it as well that we've been to.
Well, I mean, there are...
There are people. There are
individuals.
Individuals at certain events who
at
prepare
science
that well.
fiction conventions.
But across the board, for an
board,
event,
nothing comes close to James River.
no.
Nothing comes close to James River. The amount, like, for example, we had Charvette Mitchell,
Yes.
who was our moderator for the Podcasting Essentials panel.
Yes.
And she sent to us the day before. She sent to us the questions she was going to ask us. I mean, they were all up for grabs, and I was like, wow. I mean, they went deep. She had some fun light ones. She had some really thought-provoking ones, and the panel just went super
Very
smooth.
Well, I think that's
Very
just because
smooth.
everybody's so well prepared. The panels
Yeah.
go very smoothly. There's always a nice amount of time for questions.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, so this year they actually introduced something new called Shop Talk.
Yes.
And it's more or less a coffee clatch. Now, if you don't know what Shop Talk is, and I say it's a coffee clatch, and you're like, okay, that's great. What's a coffee clatch? It's basically a one-on-one.
Yeah.
And some people did bring coffee, or tea.
Yeah.
But they brought in something, and they sat down at a table with me, and we talked about a specific topic or specific question that they had in their minds.
It's a bit more intimate than
Yeah.
like the
Well,
couple hundred people in a
panel.
Yeah.
This is truly a one-on-one situation. And what was funny was that I was supposed to be flying solo, but Pip wound up joining me as well because I guess we are a matched set, and you can't
We're like
really,
salt and pepper.
yeah, you can't. Want to thank your mama for a butt like that.
Yeah.
But the since you can't break the box set, we wound up both talking about the topic that I've been given for my shop talk to share with other people was the topic of write what you don't know. Now, originally, it was supposed to be about about the importance of research, about the importance of making sure that you've dotted your I's, crossed your T's, and you make sure that you've got sources, for your sources and things like that. What it wound up turning into, and I was both a little terrified and a little empowered by the topic, was, well, I want to write about this. I want to write about. In fact, I remember what it was. One of the individuals said, I want to write about transgender issues, but I am not transgender myself.
Yes.
I am LGBTQ, but I am not transgender. And I said, then you need to talk to somebody.
Yes.
And she goes, well, what if I get pushback from people that are saying you're not transgender? Why are you writing this? I said, well, here's the conundrum. And Chad, if you want to chime in on this, I invite it, because man, this was a great topic. I said, okay, we could wait for this story that you have or something similar to it, and wait for a transgender author to write that. Until then, there is no representation of transgender in the fiction that you're wanting to write. But then, what if you reach out to the transgender community? What if you reach out and you tell them, this is what I'm doing. I want to make sure I get it right. Can you help me make it right? Can you help me make it better? Can you help me? And that was what we did when we wrote The Ghost Rebellion, because we were reaching out to Suna Dasi over at Steampunk India, and Suna was our cultural editor. She was like, okay, you got this right, you didn't get this right, you need to tweak this, you need to do that. Whoa, you guys really went there. Holy cow, that was great. Stuff like that. If we hadn't written that, then the Ghost Rebellion wouldn't have happened.
No. Well, the thing is, what she was talking about was having multiple, I think she said 4 or 5 multiple strand point of view characters. Right. So I think we said to her, if it was writing from the first person point of view,
it gets very tricky,
and you were trying to represent a trans character, I would feel a little uncomfortable about that.
So would I.
But she's writing different characters, a diverse set of characters, a bit like Sense8. We talked about that,
which we did talk about.
And she does know people in the trans community,
right?
So that they can beta read and check that she's getting things right.
But what the point we were
but if you don't write it,
then that story doesn't get told.
Yes.
and then people go, well, we're underrepresented.
Well, if you only write stories about yourself,
that gets
my stories of white New Zealanders are going to be very dull.
It depends if you're writing about the All Blacks or not.
But they're not all white.
Yes,
they're definitely not all white.
They're not all white.
But it's a very tricky, and especially right now when people are talking about own stories, that sort of thing.
Yeah, sure.
It is tread with care. But I definitely think that when you have your acknowledgements and you say thanks to such and such for their consultation or their advice or their insight into a certain community, then you are giving yourself at least some coverage there. Now, the second person who was talking about writing an alternative universe in which...
And this was interesting, too.
In which Native Americans had not been overrun by settlers, white settlers.
They'd actually pushed back.
It was very interesting, but I would find... I think we said... that's a harder sell, because you're creating a whole culture that doesn't exist, and you're trying to they were talking about not finding, everything in the museum is sort of a fourth grade level.
Right. And she wanted to go above that.
The research had to be more than that.
Right. But then again, that means reaching out to the culture, reaching out, and I regret.
You would actually need face-to-face conversations with people about.
And I regret not telling her the story that I told you recently. There was a play that I did back when I was a professional actor called Out of the Whirlwind, and it was about the slave revolution of Gabriel Prosser. So I believe that was his name, Gabriel Prosser. But basically, he led a slave revolution in Richmond, and unfortunately, it didn't work.
It didn't take off.
But it was a monumental moment in history where people were going, maybe slavery isn't all that. Maybe they're not as happy as we think they are.
Because they seem to be wanting to revolt.
Yeah, that's really bad. And the thing is that the play itself, the play is centered around three slaves, and there are 3 white guys that show. I was one, obviously, yes, I was one of the white guys.
Thank goodness for that.
Yeah, but the white guys that showed up in the play, they were kind of in the background. They were like the alternate voice of the, let's see how we can play with this, and let's see how we can spin this the slave revolution and all this stuff. So you got to see sort of the backdoor dealings of what was happening at that time period. But then at the center of this play were these 3 slaves. This whole play was written by a white Jewish lady, and I mean, it was powerful. I mean, even and when we did this play not only for paying audiences, we also did it for the inner city school kids of DC. When they met the playwright, they were like, "We're really happy that you told this story because, I'm a young African American. I didn't know this story."
Yeah.
And it gave me that perspective of, if she had not written this story would have been told eventually, but it would have been told, maybe 5 years, maybe 10 years later, versus right now in this time at this juncture.
It's just like at the moment, you also need to make space for the people who actually have a connection to that story now.
Yes.
Because now you're getting, we saw at James River a lot of African American writers, which was amazing and great.
Right.
So they need to be able to tell their stories. So, yeah, I felt a little, I was fine with the one about the trans character because the trans person was not the sole thing.
Right.
But the other story about writing about an alternate timeline where Native American people were not just,
tricky.
Just decimated
It
by.
gets tricky.
That is a tricky one. And I think we did the right thing by telling her, you're going to get pushback on this.
Yeah,
definitely.
Well, we told them both, but it was more for her.
Yes,
but to bring it back around to James River's Writer Conference, the James River Writers Conference. It's not as easy to say. It really isn't. But yeah,
Leroy, you were just stupid as hell.
That's enough out of you. So anyway, the you get an idea though of how
it got intense, didn't it?
Very intense over the weekend.
And those shop talks were, I think it was a great idea.
Yeah, fantastic idea. I hope they come back. And then now now the entire weekend was not this intense.
We want
to make sure. Yeah, like one of the panels we did was on it was talking about podcast essentials, as we said earlier, and one of the questions we got was, how hard is it to come up with a clever name for your podcast?
Didn't really seem that difficult for us. But
Right. But I mean, we talked about the process of, well, how do you name a podcast? It's no different than from how do you name a book or how do you name a short story?
A cat?
Yeah, or how you name a cat. But then when they got to me, I was like, well, for me, the struggle really isn't finding the right name for a podcast. The real struggle is, what's the theme music going to be? And I will labor over all that.
So much
over so many hours of music that I have just to find the perfect. Would you put the skull? Oh, what? Give me the skull. Give me the skull. Give me the skull.
Get your own skull.
Give me the damn skull.
He just wants my skull.
Y'all jokers must be crazy.
Give me the skull right now, young lady. You're kissing the skull. Would you stop? It's distracting. It is. Would you give me the skull?
No.
Give me the skull.
No.
Give me the. Oh God.
Nope.
He can't come round to this side of the desk.
get-
Throw it! Bowling with what do we call him? Bowling with
Azumi, do not encourage her. Do not
he's got
encourage
to
her.
he's going to kiss it now.
I'm not going to kiss the skull. I might rub it a bit, but I'm not going to kiss the skull. All right. It was just distracting, chat. I mean, I was looking at, and she's doing this, you know. Pete's sake. Anyway.
Tactile.
Anyway, yeah. Apparently, crushed velvet's your jam. Wow.
The 70s were great for me.
Okay. Yeesh. Anyway, so yeah, I had a I would labor over the perfect opening theme, and it would drive me nuts. You know what? Hang on a minute, chat. Hang on.
taking my skull
I gotta take it to the other room.
Oh, that's so mean. I have other skulls though.
I heard that.
None of them are as cool as that velvet.
It isn't a crushed velvet.
But I will point out that you were the one that brought the crushed velvet skull.
Do what?
You were the one that picked that up, not me.
Yeah, and you were just like, you don't need that. And now she's just like, anyway. There were some lighter topics.
You did one on branding, right?
I did one on branding, which I should mention for my my Twitch viewers. Yes, Twitch Dad came up in conversation.
Of course he did.
Twitch Dad came up in conversation, and I talked about what was the funny thing was it was actually led by Maureen. Maureen was the agent that I mentioned earlier.
Oh, really?
Who was the gamer?
Oh, she was doing. She was the
what?
moderator, or was
No.
she?
She was one of the panelists, and she was talking about. And it was really fascinating. She was talking about from an agent's perspective.
Oh, okay.
Why brands matter, why brands are important, and then she mentioned how you have to have a plan when you lean in. And when she said lean in, the first thing that was triggered for me was, in fact, Twitch Dad. And I said, well, since we're talking about leaning in, let me give you the evolution of this particular brand that I'm now kind of embracing.
What did she think of that?
And she just kind of looked at me and just went, oh my god. She probably thinks I'm a knucklehead after this. After this.
Well, that's a brand too.
That's a brand too. That truly is.
Can I get a hell yeah?
But overall, the whole and good evening, Unicorn. How are you?
Hey, Unicorn.
The overall feel of the James River Writers Conference is about being better writers and being better professionals as well.
Yes, it's a very professional convention in a lot of ways, but definitely the angle that they go in onto the panels with. It's all about craft, marketing, ways to improve your if you're a small business person, which basically you are when you're a writer.
But the creative ones, but the ones about
are interesting.
are also good too. Bill, he moderated us in a panel on world building.
World building. Everyone loves world building.
Yeah, and we got a chance to talk about like the pitfalls of world building, about how sometimes for me, I've met authors who have been working on a world building project
for years,
for like 4 or 5 years, and I'm saying, how far are you in the book? And they go, I haven't started yet. I have to finish world building, and I'm sitting there going, okay,
yeah,
okie doke, you go right ahead.
Oh my God, I am surrounded by idiots.
I just have strong opinions on that.
At some point, you have to stop and write.
You have to stop with the world building. Stop with the world building, and you actually start getting words on paper. And it's not. It is not.
And your
easy.
world might change actually while you're writing, putting characters in it.
Was
It's like building a set.
Pi just said, was that Cyber that said that? No. It was not Cyber that has been world building for 5 years. No, that is not. No, stop that. But the takeaway, that I had from the world building panel is that world building is different things to different people. It can be everything from the actual environment to what's the geography like to what is the time period you want to work in, and it was fascinating how we all kind of danced around the topic of what exactly is world building.
It's the set dressing for what your characters are acting in front of.
No. Pi was asking about the audio, about the drop in. No, that drop in was from the animated TV show Archer. So that's where some of the drop ins are coming from.
It wasn't me actually typing.
No, it wasn't Cyber. It wasn't Pip. So now you know, Pi.
Hey, it's okay, you're welcome.
Okay, so going back to the entire weekend on a whole, the experience of James River Writers, this is probably also asking you the question: do you think water is wet? Would you want to do it again?
Absolutely, and I would also recommend it for anybody who's actually can get there and is interested in writing, because I think it's really got a lot to offer.
It
Obviously,
does.
because it's sold out 2 years in a row.
Yeah.
So definitely look to go next year if you're serious about writing. We met a couple of people who are in the midst of working through their process, and a lot of them looked like they were really invigorated.
Yeah.
And I know I wanted to write afterwards.
So speaking, and this is completely a side note, but speaking of meeting people, only at James River, and this is the other reason you go to James River, because you have no idea what's going to happen. I bumped into a roommate from college that I have not seen. Whoa, hey, Bast, that I have not seen in over 20, 30 years.
It was 93.
It was 1993 was the last
That's
time I
over
saw
20
this guy.
years.
That's over 20 years.
It's more like 25, 20.
It's more like 30 years at this point. Wait,
27.
yeah. It's a long time.
It's a long time.
It's a long time. It was a buddy of mine named Dean, and it turns out not only does
Dean write,
does Dean write, and Dean knows me, but Dean is also a Henrico police officer. And it also turns out that he knew Bill Bloom. So we're all just sitting down, just
this is
yucking
a very
it up.
small country. I thought it was much bigger than this.
Yes, and it was a blast. It was a real blast. It was a good time. And now I'm back in touch with Dino, and we're just I'm also feeling invigorated. I'm ready to write now. I'm ready to do some work. Well, I did some work. We got the decorations up, so I'm happy about that. And now we I've had a chance to decompress, and now I'm gonna find my writing time and go, okay, let's get some words out, right?
Yeah.
But I gotta say, Richmond, not completely about the James River Writers Conference.
Overcooked on the bottom, crispy as fuck, and it looks like Gandhi's flip-flop. What a shame.
What the fuck did you put in that sauce?
You're about as fucking consistent as pigeon shit on Trafalgar Square. Get it out of my kitchen!
That's probably one of the most epic teasers, bumper stingers I've ever put together.
It is.
God, that was fun putting together. Okay, we're going in the kitchen, talking a little about the food scene. It's what we do here on the shared desk. We've got the writer stuff, and then we got the stuff we do behind the scenes.
Literally behind the scenes in this case.
Yeah, really behind the scenes. So, if in case you missed it, don't worry. We're going to drop into the show notes. The live feed that I managed to get out.
The link to the live feed.
Well, no, we can embed it.
No, because in Spotify, remember, they won't post video.
Not if it's in show notes, honey.
Yeah.
Yeah, trust me.
The link, yeah.
Honey, just let me do the driving, okay? Please.
Oh!
Let me do the
I'm
driving.
gonna throw something at your head.
Tack 'em on grapple.
It's like you've never done this before. I swear to God. All right. Love you, darling. No, you can't have the skull back. Anyway.
I'll just take yours instead.
Yeah. Okay.
Gangsta.
All right. So basically, we were looking for somewhere special to go for our anniversary. It was our 8th anniversary this past week, and we decided we were going to celebrate it while in Richmond. Now, the original plan was we were going to have dinner at Patere. Did I pronounce it? Pater. I was close. It was something French. Pater, which was the
restaurant.
Yeah, the attached restaurant to our hotel. Would you like to tell them a little bit at the hotel?
Oh, yes. We stayed at the Linden Row Inn, which is a collection. It's actually 6 buildings, which are all joined together because it's a row. And they, I think it's the largest preserved section of Neo-Georgian, Neo-Greek.
It's pretty.
It's pretty.
Just pretty.
It's an old building from the 1860s and 70s, I think.
It's actually got almost like a New Orleans vibe to it.
It does. It does.
When we went to a romance conference called Authors After Dark, and we were staying at the Royal Sonesta, and they had this really cool architecture touch where you would go out onto a balcony, and the balcony would overlook the courtyard where people would be having
so there was an inner
lunch.
Courtyard as well in this,
and Linden Row was just like that.
Yes, and it's it's also on the grounds of where Edgar Allan Poe would have played as a child.
Yeah.
Supposedly haunted.
Yeah, a lot of history.
Didn't see any ghosts, though.
Didn't see any ghosts, but a lot of history.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful, just a beautiful place. And Parterre just opened their doors.
Yes, we had breakfast there.
Yeah,
it was very nice.
it
but
was
we
great.
did. But then
Yeah.
I don't know why I thought about this, but I was like, you know where I want to go? I want to go to a speakeasy. Maybe it was the history, I don't know. But
there is a lot of history in my hometown of Richmond.
Yes, there is.
And it's been coming back hard, so I'm real proud of Richmond.
So T's like, well, I don't think there's any speakeasies in Richmond. And
it wasn't even
like,
think. It's like, there are no, I think I said,
Google.
there are no speakeasies in Richmond. Richmond's not that cool.
No, contraire. There's, in fact, a top 10 list of speakeasies in Richmond.
Yep. That's exactly what happened. Yep.
But this one looked particularly exciting and
it did.
right up our alley. It was called Grand Staff and Stein Booksellers.
Yes.
Unleash the fury!
I was like, okay, so
being a former research librarian, I obviously had to do some research, and apparently,
this is pretty
you
awesome.
need to know the password to get in, and the password is on their Facebook account apparently. So we got the password, which was
Bite me, Valentine.
That was
that was not the password.
Are you sure? Are you sure?
Last week.
Wait, was it this one?
God, you're weird.
Is that
God, you no. It was.
Oh, I got it. Wait a minute, I got it.
Shit just got real!
That would make a good password.
Yeah, it would, wouldn't it?
But it's not. Last week's one was Flaming Youth.
Right.
Which is actually what the male equivalent of flappers were called.
Right.
So we took our Uber. We did not drive.
No,
we did
not
No one
drive.
was doing no driving tonight except the
we
Uber
did not.
mans.
Right.
And womans. And you go down to Shockoe Bottom, which is now that's the lowest part of the hills because Richmond's got many hills, right?
Richmond's got many hills, and Shockoe Bottom is literally at the bottom of what's called Shockoe
and
Slip.
right adjacent to the river.
Yes, right
so
off the river.
It used to flood a lot, but
still floods a lot.
Still floods a lot.
Still floods a lot. Yeah.
So anyway, you go over to Shockoe Bottom.
Right.
We got out of our Uber outside the booksellers, and you go in.
Right.
It's a very unassuming looking building from the outside.
It really
just got
is.
the name of the bookseller.
Gray building, and you walk in.
Can't see through the windows.
And you can't see through the windows, and it's just and it's like one and a half bookcases.
Yes,
that's it.
It's not very big.
Now the books are real.
It's probably about the same size as this. Same size as this office.
It's probably the same size as the office. Yeah.
So there's one bookcase in front of you, a bookcase to the side, and a lady seated behind the counter
with an old school card catalog.
Oh, I love an old school card catalog.
So she said, "Are there any books that that tickle your fancy?" And we're like, "Oh, okay, we're
playing
really
along,
this song.
are we?
Okay." And there were legitimate books that were in there. And we said, "Do you have any books on Flaming Youth?" And she went, "Oh, I see." And she goes, "Do you want me to see if we have a table?" And we were like, we'll just play our luck, just so long as we can see the book on Flaming Youth." And then we chit-chatted a little more, and then she was like, "Okay, well, let me get that book on Flaming Youth for you." And then she literally pushes aside one of the bookcases.
And you go in.
Welcome to level 7.
Straight up.
It did feel a bit like
It
that.
did. It was straight out of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. We walk in, and it is a dimly lit, so dim you can't see the stools that you're going to sit on. But you just walk in, and they're all Edison light bulbs everywhere. There's a beautiful logo painted on one side that says
exposed brick.
Exposed brick. It says Grand Stefan Stain's Whiskey.
Yes. And upright piano for some tinkling on the ivories.
Oh yeah. And then of course there was the menu.
We had 2 bags of grass, 75 pellets of mescaline, 5 sheets of high-powered blotter acid, a salt shaker half full of cocaine, a whole galaxy of multicolored uppers, downers, screamers, laughers. Also a quarter tequila, quarter rum, case of beer, pint of raw ether, 2 dozen amyls.
It wasn't that bad.
I don't think your friend Dean would have appreciated that. But no, and of course whiskey barrels with tables. We sat at a whiskey barrel with a table.
We sat at a whiskey barrel with table.
Now also the servers are all dressed in flapper outfits.
That was another
big plus. There's a Vitrola. There's a small courtyard if you wanted to sit outside. All of this concealed behind the bookcase.
It was first off, the space itself is absolutely huge. It's gorgeous, and I fell in love with it. Mm-hmm. And the other thing about it is they're only playing old school swing music
from the 20s and 30s.
From the 20s and 30s. And let's talk a little bit about the menu. Really, let's talk about what really was on the menu.
Oh my gosh.
So where do we start with? The Scotch list or the Scotch flight?
There are flights. They had
2 whiskey flights.
2 whiskey flights, a rum flight, a Scotch flight, and then they had a tequila flight.
A tequila flight. A good tequila flight. The Scotch flight, I went on ahead and yes, you'll see it in the stream. I went on ahead and actually had the Scotch flight, and I actually found a brand new favorite Scotch, and it was just stunning. The Scotch was really high test, and it started in a really logical order. Like it's you start with a Johnny Walker Black.
Yes.
Which for my Scotch connoisseurs in chat, Johnny Walker Black is a blended Scotch, and it's it's good.
Yes.
Not great, but it's good. It's good for
a good way to start. It's a good way to start.
Good way to get the palate warmed up. So and then it ended with a Balvenie 14,
which you'd already familiar with. That.
I was familiar with Balvenie, but not this particular one. And it was Balvenie. So
and then we also had a rum flight because why not?
Why not?
Which ended also with another one we knew, which was the Kraken spiced rum, which was very good.
Which was very good.
They also had obviously a large section of cocktails, because cocktails were actually mostly invented in speakeasies to mask the taste of the horrible bathtub gin, or perhaps the moonshine that might kill you.
But the section,
mixed drinks.
But the section that we gravitated towards were, in fact,
the mules.
Yeah.
The Moscow Mule seems to be very popular these days. You know, they come in a little
served in a little tin cup.
A little brass. I thought it was brass.
Well, brass tin. It was a little metal cup.
And they have quite a nice selection of mules.
Now, which one did you have? You had you had the Maui.
That was I had the Maui. That's the one I had. Yeah. I had the sharpshooter cocktail.
That's true, and that was in fact that did.
It did shoot me.
Yeah. And the one that I had was the Kill Devil.
Ah, yes, with the habanero.
With the little bit of habanero in there, and man, did that perk me up.
And then we also ate there because you need something to mop up that.
Were we squiffy when we walked out of there? Yes, we actually did walk out of there. I mean, I did take a tumble, but that was when I was stone cold sober.
He was sober and he took a tumble.
I was sober and I took a tumble, and I was a bit like Dr. Johnny Fever in that episode of WKRP. My reflexes actually improved the more I drank.
Well, you like to think that, right?
I like to think that. But we did have food there. And
the food was amazing.
I would say the food was just on par with the drinks.
Yeah, it was a really good experience.
We started with a baked brie that had...
The baked brie had pears. Yeah. And I think it might have had cranberry in there as well.
Just a phenomenal...
No, it had pear and brown sugar.
Yeah. And then we got to the entrees. Now, if you put crab cakes on your menu, Pip gravitates to that.
Yeah.
She's like, I want to know how good your crab cakes are. Normally, I do not do the seafood. I will, if I'm in the mood, I'll do crab, and it's got to be
seafood can go wrong.
Yeah,
so you're really taking a shot in the dark. Really,
as I was looking over the menu, that instinct kicked in and said, "You order the scallops. Just order
Or
the
the
scallops.
scallops.
Or the scallops, or however you want it. Scallops. Just get them in your face and then get them in your belly. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to try the scallops. And even Pip looked at me like, what?
Yes, I was a bit surprised you didn't have like a steak.
Yeah, I was thinking about that, but man, I had that steak and
No, you had scallops.
sorry, would you put steak in my head? I put no, you still.
I'd love to put steak in your head.
Yeah, no, but no, I had those scallops, and this was me for the rest of the night. With when Pip was just looking at me doing this.
Oh no, finish your tweet. That's fine. Just give us a second.
There was a lot of tweeting.
There was a lot of tweeting.
There was a
lot
lot
of tweeting.
But the food was very excellent. And then once we'd had that, we finished up with the classic.
Oh yeah,
Bread and butter pudding.
bread and butter pudding.
And it was really, really good.
bread and butter pudding.
So that was a good night.
It was a really good night. The food was exceptional there. The service was also really
Oh,
good.
yes.
And the staff, they weren't just
very knowledgeable.
not just on the food, not just on the alcohol, but also on the history.
Yeah.
History of the building, the history of speakeasies. You know what they do.
Did you know why it was called a speakeasy?
Enlighten us.
Because you had to speak quietly.
Oh, that was
Otherwise, people would no. We were not quiet. But in the historical speakeasy, you would speak quietly the word
Yeah.
to get in, and you would also probably
Wanna
it's like
keep the tone down a little
keep
bit.
it down a little
Yeah.
bit.
Yeah.
But also in speakeasies they had a lot of entertainment, so you would get musicians and all that sort of things. And I noticed that Grand Staff and Stein hosted burlesque brunches.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was very interested to see that. They also do bunko, which has also got a history of illegal gambling. And what was the other thing? Oh, and poker nights.
Yeah. I mean, we didn't need another reason to come back to Richmond. I mean,
No.
there's Scott's Edition where you've got all these great breweries, and you've even got a meadery down there called Blackheath Meadery.
You've got a place where you can play video games and drink.
There's I think it's called the Circuit.
Circuit City?
Circuit. No, just the Circuit.
Isn't it? It's not called Circuits?
No, Circuit City was the failed electronics chain. But the Circuit, and then of course we got Proper Pie.
Yes.
Stone Brewery is just around the corner.
Got a meadery.
Yeah, I mean, there's
a lot going on.
There's a lot going on.
Burger Batch.
Yeah, and spelled Bach, but pronounced Batch.
Don't ask me why.
I know.
I can
But
tell
in all seriousness, chat, if you're looking for stuff to do, if you're ever driving through,
If you ever need to go to a
Virginia,
cool little town,
Richmond's the place you want to go.
yeah, it's got
Richmond's the
history,
place you
it's
want to
got
go.
food and alcohol.
And what you really can't do better than that. And if you don't drink, that's fine. Go anyway. Go to Grand Staff and go to Grand Staff and Stein's. Get the food. The food is even better. There's just a lot to do in Richmond. A lot to do and a lot to see. Great town. So we need to wrap up this episode 97 of the Shared Deck. Closing in
On that elusive 100. We're going
on
to have
that
to think of
elusive
something
100.
to do.
Yeah, something really special to do.
2 more episodes and then we're going to figure it out.
Exactly. So real quick, where are we going to be this weekend?
Maryland Renaissance Festival.
So it's a very special day that we're going. We are going to be going
On the day?
on the day of wrong.
Wrong.
The day of wrong. It is the last Saturday of the Maryland Renaissance Festival, and they encourage the regulars of the Ren Fair and other people who are attending the Ren Fair. If you want to do something weird, and I mean when we say
like
weird,
steampunk,
or more to the point, show up in Star Trek Next Generation outfits, which I have seen.
Yes,
I remember that.
It's kind of cool.
If you want to be a time traveler, if you want to do that, then go on ahead and do that. But wait to do it on the day of wrong. And actually, the day of wrong is a perfect time for steampunks to show up at the Maryland Ren Fair because it's usually chilly.
Oh, yes.
It's usually, there's a little bit of a bite in the air. And let's just be honest, when it comes to fashion, steampunk is not what you would call summer fashion.
No. Fall is our time.
Fall and winter is our time, beyond the shadow of a doubt. So we're going to be at the Maryland Renaissance Fair.
And At
this
page
Saturday
after page?
at Page After Page Booksellers. So make sure if you're in the area, come on by, say hi, buy a book, and we will sign it. Provided that we're the ones that wrote it. If we didn't, we can sign it. But the names, the carpets won't match the drapes. The signature won't match the cover. I'm just telling you. Oh, I'm sorry. Was that was that slightly inappropriate? Dang, I'm sorry. Okay. After that, I believe we are done for.
That is the official end of the season for us, I think.
Unless we have a last minute.
That would be very unusual.
I know it would be unusual, but still.
We've got Thanksgiving and Christmas ahead of us. We want to concentrate on that afterwards.
Yes,
so
yes, we do.
We are already starting to fill up on things to do next year, but
yeah, we are.
Some of them are cool. Some of them are very cool. Some of them are in states I haven't been to yet.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Real quick, though, I did want to say, for those of you who have already given to this charity, thank you very much. Throughout this month, for those of you who are, again, regulars to the stream, and for those of you who are listening to the podcast and are like, what are you talking about? You can go over to twitch.tv/the-T-Monster, and you can watch on Thursday nights at 7 o'clock something called The Blind Leads the Blind. This is where I and my potato skills in first-person shooters serve as Sherpa to blind gamer Steve Saylor. And Steve, the blind gamer Saylor, is in fact legally blind. Well, Steve and I are celebrating 1 year of doing this. I have basically been taking him all through. Hey, fidget girl! I mean, do you want to play with the cat or do you want a podcast? What the hell are you doing? First it's like, now you're like, oh, let's play with Sebastian because I'm getting bored. All right. Let me try again. Blind Needs the Blind. This is the beautiful thing, and it's a charity. Thank you very much. No, there is no link for it, Unicorn. Don't worry about it. But thanks for the attempt. So we are celebrating 1 year of doing Blind Leads the Blind, and Steve found a charity for us to represent all through the month of October, and that charity is called Able Gamers. They come up with technology. They come up with mouth controllers, with vision trackers, and specially enhanced controllers for people who have disabilities, but they also have the desire to play video games. And we originally started off, we wanted to raise $500 for Able Gamers. But thanks to a monster raid from a very popular YouTuber, we wound up raising over $5,000. But we are leaving the charity open all month long.
Get as much as you can for them.
In fact, what we're trying to do is we're trying to reach a vanity goal of just over $5,600, and here's why.
Why 56?
The reason why $5,600 is because Steve was doing some research, and he found out that on Tiltify, that on the charity service that is taking care of all the money, we're in the top 5 earners. We're in the top
competitive
5
spirit, huh?
Yeah, we're in the top 5 earners, and the funny thing is, everybody around us are all certified 501c. We're the only two that were just a couple of knuckleheads that said, hey, let's raise some money and do some good with our video games.
So to help knuckleheads everywhere.
And give them hope, we want to see if we can crack into the top 3, maybe even just get beyond the top 2. The reason why we're not going for number 1, that's owned by Mountain Dew.
Okay. If 2 knuckleheads can beat Mountain Dew,
then man, we got a future ahead of us.
Yeah,
we got a future ahead of us.
What is the current? What are you at right now?
We are just over $5,300, and we're trying to reach $5,600. Sparky just in chat said came for the raid, donated, and joined Twitch to follow. Glad I did.
Oh, thank you
so much, Sparky. I really do appreciate it.
Look at his beard growing. You can actually watch it grow.
Yeah, you can actually watch on my Twitch stream. You can watch a highlight where I did isolate the point in the evening where, because we had hit $5,000, I said, okay, because we hit $5,000, the beard's coming off. Pip has never seen me without facial hair.
Your daughter has never seen
My daughter has never seen me without facial hair.
It's a horrific moment for us.
And I don't think they like it, chat.
Still recovering.
I really don't think they like it.
Luckily, at least the stubble was making me feel a little bit better.
Yeah, but now I'm in the itchy phase, as I said at the beginning of the show, and that's really kind of that's 50 Shades of Suck right there. So, chat, if you want to get in touch with us, apart from coming to this stream, following, clicking on that purple heart, that gives you a follow. It doesn't cost you a thing. But if you sub, you get a few extra perks from along the way.
Including some awesome little emoji thingies.
Emotes.
That's what they
I'm
call.
teaching her, chat. If only I'd written a book that could teach you the
Well, then I'd
lingo
read it.
of Twitch for Dummies. Yeah, there is that. But along with that, you can find me at tmorris.com, where you can see me blogging on a weekly basis now. It feels really good. Where can they find you, honey?
pjvalentine.com.
And you can also reach to either one of us at t@tmorris.com or
Pip at pjvalentine.com.
T-Monster on Twitter.
Philippa Jane on Twitter.
And, of course, you can find us on the Instagrams at the T-Monster.
I think I'm PJ Valentine.
You are PJ Valentine. I know that for a fact.
Instagram.
Oh, yeah. And, of course, you can reach out to us with your comments, with your chat, with your questions about upcoming shows, what you'd like for us to talk about, anything like that, at our voicemail at 703-791-1701. Drop us a voicemail. You can do that through WhatsApp as well, and we would love to hear from you. Stick around, chat, because we're going to have a little exclusive back and forth with you all, completely off pod, and it's just a little intimate extra hour that you get for sticking around with us and hanging out on stream. But until next time, thanks for watching, thanks for listening. Enjoy the ride.
Catch you later.
All right, and we are clear, and we are still streaming, and we are thrilled that you are here with us, chat.
With that
Hi,
cranky
everybody.
cat.
Well, yeah, I wonder who made him cranky cat.
I did not
Butterfly
make him
Girl.
cranky. He was already
Hang on,
pretty
one
cranky.
second, though. Now that we've finished recording.
Can I have my skull back?
Yes.
Yay! Although theoretically it is your skull, I suppose, since you picked it up, but I have other skulls. I got one with a movable jaw, which is kind of cool.
This isn't my skull. My skull's got like a little Tesla plasma core.
Oh, is that your skull? Is
That's
it?
my
So this
skull.
is my skull?
That can be your skull.
This could be my skull?
That could be your skull.
Alas, poor Twitchy. I knew him, T.
I
Morris.
did name him Twitchy, though. I did name him
He
Twitchy.
doesn't
How
look
you
very
doing,
twitchy.
chat? Thank you all so much for hanging out with us tonight. We really appreciate it. This has been, you've been watching episode 97 of the Shared Desk. This is something else that I do on my stream. I do live podcast recordings, and we did get a question earlier about why did I choose the just chatting category and not talk shows and podcasts. I'm not really sure what's going on with that, but I noticed that the talk shows and podcasts, it doesn't get the same kind of traffic that just chatting
Maybe people
does.
just want to chat.
I honestly don't know myself, but I just figure I
Well,
want
that's
to
what
go
we're
on
doing.
ahead.
We are chatting. I mean,
We're chatting amongst ourselves. Same thing with Happy
we're
Hour
both
from the Tower.
podcasting and chatting.
Yeah.
So
We're
now
chatting
we're
our-
definitely just chatting.
Well, yeah, and yeah. Go with the flow. Exactly, Mother Dragon. Go with the flow. Good evening, Mother Dragon. By the way, hi.
Hi.
Thank you for joining us on stream. So yeah, I had to basically take Twitchy away from Pip. She was getting a little.
It's just very tactile. It's
Well,
like
it's because it's crushed velvet. There's nothing
no, but there's
wrong with
something
crushed
also about
velvet.
the shape of the skull that's kind of nice. Well, we were just in Richmond, which is where Edgar Allan Poe hung out quite a bit.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
I feel like the skull is.
So I don't know how many of you have are near Virginia or thinking about coming to Virginia for a visit.
It is for lovers.
It is for lovers.
I don't know, lovers of Food, booze,
lovers of food. Well, lovers of each other. I mean,
history.
While I will say that while conservative, there's a conservative patches around the city of Richmond. Richmond itself, I actually had this discussion with somebody at. All right, so chat. I'll tell you what I'm talking about, chat. So, there's a lot of representation for the LGBTQ community in Richmond, and that makes me very proud. Makes me very proud. So I'll give you a little insight on where this is coming from. My back in 91, 92, I did a show called DOQ. It was part of the Virginia Young Writers Playwrights Festival. And I played the lover of a kid who was gay in high school. And there was a particular night, and this is in the city of Richmond. And this was 91, 92. And I'll never forget this. There was a family that was the audience. It was on like a rake. Yeah. And there was a family sitting right
in the middle.
Like right smack dab in the middle. And when the show opened, I'm in the kid's room, and I'm it starts off innocent, but then I actually start making out with him. I actually kiss him, and I mean, you heard everyone gasp in the. I know.
Well, it was early 90s.
This was the early 90s, though. That's the thing. It was the early 90s.
In Richmond, Virginia.
In Richmond, Virginia. But that wasn't the most shocking bit. I was like, are you kidding? When I remember thinking, as I was on stage, I was going, are you kidding me? But it was the ending. It's when people were applauding, and I saw that family, and they were literally sitting on their hands.
Oh.
I'm not, I mean, they were physically sitting on their hands.
Were they afraid that their hands might break loose and start clapping?
Possibly. I don't know. But it was the most ridiculous thing I'd ever seen, and I was stunned. I was like, for Pete, and then I remember saying to myself, for Pete's sake, it's the 90s. It's 1992.
Come on.
Open your mind.
We're nearly in another century, people.
And now, I mean, the LGBTQ community is alive and thriving in Richmond.
There's a theater down in Scott's Addition.
Yes, right? That is exclusive, that do exclusive original plays about the LGBTQ plus experience. And there were a lot of the writers that we were talking to. They were from that community.
Yeah.
And it just so when they say Virginia is for lovers, they're at least Richmond is.
Yes.
At least Richmond is. I
like Richmond. I remember the first time you took me.
Richmond's got a lot going.
You took me through Richmond.
Man.
It would have been 2007 or 8.
Yeah, it was 2007 because that was when I took you to Monacan to speak.
That's right. And you said to me,
"Yeah,
oh, this is Richmond. There's not much going on.
There's
here.
not much going on.
It's a big city it's a little city that wants to be a big city."
No,
you know?
I said it was a little town that wants to be a big city, but they just need to get their heads out of their asses.
Well, apparently they did.
Oh my God, did they ever? Suddenly Richmond is cool, chat. Suddenly Richmond.
Oh my gosh, it's full
is
of
wicked cool. Full of breweries, full of meateries. They've got distilleries everywhere.
Food scene is incredible.
The food scene will knock you out. In fact, this was something we noticed too. Is that if you look at what's going on in Detroit right now, it's a lot like what happened with Richmond. The problem is that it's slower in Detroit because Detroit
is
was
much bigger.
Huge freaking city. I mean,
well,
it was gigantic.
Richmond used to be the murder
capital of the United States.
What, was that in the 80s?
That was in the 80s. That was when I was at
so things can change.
No, it did. It can totally change. And I mean, I've watched. Yeah,
I think somebody was saying that it was because Richmond decided to open itself up to the arts more in the music. They got actually, we were down there and they had a folk music festival.
Folk music festival, yeah,
which seemed to be very, very popular.
Yeah, the arts are kicking. When I was so to put it in perspective, and the reason why I didn't stay there as a young actor out of the college, there were three. I'm going to say that again, chat. 3 professional theater companies in Richmond when I graduated.
And they were all, I'm sure, very cliquey and...
Extremely cliquey. As I think someone said, you have to wait until somebody dies. And literally somebody did.
It seems like you could be on the ID.
No. Somebody did.
Yeah.
Somebody did die unexpectedly. It was a car accident.
Ooh.
But the thing was...
Everyone rushed to take that place?
Yes. it was like, and this was when I was breaking into the professional theater, and I was just like, this is a little
oogie.
Yeah, it was a little oogie, it was a little cutthroat, and it was a little creepy. Now there are, I think someone said 20 to 25 professional theater companies in Richmond alone. And that's not counting all the, the community theater.
Yeah, I'm sure there's.
And I was just like, you got to be kidding me.
So could you actually make a living as an actor down there now?
Easily.
Plus, they're actually filming things in Richmond now.
They're now filming
as well.
things in Richmond.
I mean, I think they filmed Lincoln, and they filmed that TV show Turn down there. So.
Yes, and they.
So there's more opportunities in that as well.
There's a lot of opportunities in Richmond. And I really believe that if Detroit keeps going in the direction that they're going, it's going to be like them.
I think
they're going to
I
have their
think
own
it's starting to
renaissance.
turn the corner up there.
But for writers, I mean, Richmond's also a great place as well. And
yes, it's got a writing history with Poe.
Yeah, with Poe there.
There's a Poe museum that's great to go to.
But if you are looking for stuff to do, it's hard not to. If you're looking for a good meal, a great place to stay, and just a
I like the history of the place, and they're doing, because unfortunately some of the history in Richmond is not good. It's connected with the Confederacy
and slavery.
Yeah,
sure.
They actually have. They're starting to work on some sort of exhibit about the slave.
It's a slavery tour.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's something to do with the actual slave where they sold people.
Yes.
It was the second largest in America, right, after South Carolina, I think.
There was a lot of heated debate about it. A lot of heated debate.
Well, you can't just ignore it, really. You have
that
to.
Was what people finally said. They said, "Look, if we ignore this, history's just going to repeat itself.
You just paste over it.
You paste over it.
Yeah.
It becomes." It pretty much becomes Disney's Song of the South.
Yes.
and let's be honest. Zippity doo dah, zippity yay. No, that was not the way it was.
That was not. No, this was
not the way it was.
This was like a stockyard for people.
Yeah.
So and that's down by the train station. They're
Yes.
they're doing some sort of building down there.
But if that hardcore history isn't your jam, don't worry about it. You have the architecture of Main Street Station. You've got the architecture of Shockoe Bottom.
I love the buildings down there.
Yeah.
I mean, the place that we stayed in, Linden Row Inn, is just
stunning.
Beautiful.
And in fact, I'll tell you what. Let me pull up real quick. Go ahead. Actually, go ahead and talk a little about some of the other things you dig about Richmond. I'm pulling up a YouTube link.
Well, it's obviously, because it's the state capital, it's got a lot of libraries going on. Linden Row is actually opposite the Richmond Public Library, but there is also the State Library within Richmond. And so it's got, the usual collection, like the War Memorial that we visited with your mum.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool. It's down by the river, and it's got a beautiful big statue of a woman weeping or something. I'm not sure if she's weeping, or it was pretty cool.
But it in that particular statue, around her were all the names of people who had fallen from the city of
Richmond.
Well,
and then,
from Virginia.
And then inside, they also had some exhibits of various military paraphernalia.
Yep.
From people from Richmond and Virginia, I think.
It was pretty neat. Neat.
Yeah.
So I'll give you real quick something to take a look at, chat. If you go to this YouTube link right here, the YouTube link I just dropped in there was a book trailer that I shot in the city of Richmond. It was
of course, because you got Patrick Henry's church.
Yes, where he said, "Give me liberty and give me death." That is also where you'll see Main Street Station. And when people watched it, they were like, "Did you green screen this?" And I'm like, "No,
no. There's that beautiful. Is it a brick or is it stone wall?
Okay. So there's a couple of things. First off, there is the area around the Patrick Henry, the
Episcopal Church. Yeah.
They still have the original lamps up, and the way we were shooting it, you would have thought that it was actually gaslit, but they are just those are just
they just look like sort of
they're just
London.
incandescent. Yeah, they're just incandescent light bulbs. Then you get the long wall near Patrick Henry's church, And then, of course, you've got Main Street Station,
which is gorgeous,
when
and it's period.
And as I'm angling these shots, trying to get the shots just right, so that you don't see anything modern.
Yeah.
It was just so much fun to do. It was so much fun to do, and it was great because as a kid, I've always been fascinated with the Main Street clock tower and all that stuff.
It's like made out of a very kind of rich red brick or stone. I'm not sure.
So, Chad, I know it seems like we're rambling about Richmond and we're talking up a storm about Richmond, and that's fine. We're good with that too. But if you got any questions for us, anything about things that we talked about in the show, anything about Twitchy, the
Twitchy's now developed some cat hair.
The crushed velvet skull.
Oh, it had to happen.
Feel free to ask us right now, because we're gonna stick around for a few more minutes just to hang out with you all, because we really do appreciate the support you've been showing, not just for this podcast, but for the stream on a whole,
and the charity
and all that. Thank you so much. We really do appreciate it. Going back to Richmond. There's also, and you've heard us talk about this before too, there's the Proper Pie Company.
Mm-hmm. Up on Churchill.
I'm
sure if Patrick Henry was alive today, he would have got himself a pie before he went into church.
I really believe he didn't say, "Give me liberty, give me pie." He said, "Give me..." No, in fact, I think that's what he said. "Give me liberty, give me pie."
Yes, that's right.
He didn't say death. He said pie. And someone said, "Did you just say death?" He said, "No, I said pie."
Come on, it's pie.
And it was like, and then it was
Have
like, "Wait
you tried their pork and peach?
Is today March 14th? Crap, we got to get over to Proper Pie. The line's gonna be huge." So that's the thing that they do.
It literally is like 50
God.
feet away from the church, and it's kind of.
You're killing me, Unicorn. If Nightbot times me out, the owner of the channel, for putting up a link,
you and Nightbot are going to have some words.
We're gonna have some words, yeah. Too funny. You're killing me, Unicorn. Love you, buddy.
And also at that church, they also sometimes do on particular days reenactors who go in there and talk to you like Patrick Henry would talk to you.
Patrick Henry would talk to you.
Maybe we should bring him a pie next
time. Yeah, we should. But anyway, going back to Proper Pie. So on March 14th, every year on March 14th, these guys do what they call the Proper Pie Day. And things get crazy. The line literally snakes 3 times.
It's not a huge shop.
No, it's not.
A small shop.
It's like 3 times. It snakes 3 times, then down the hallway towards the bathroom, doubles back, goes out the door. And when we got in line on the Proper Pie Day, where it was going to be the closest that you could ever get in a lifetime to the actual pie number, the line still does it. The line will go 2 blocks, 3 blocks, sometimes even 4 blocks, and people will wait.
They need their pie
because they need their pie. But what's really amazing about the experience is that especially it gets crazy when you get inside, because you get inside the building.
And they have that big sign that they have this big chains.
Chalkboard. They have this big chalkboard. And on the big chalkboard, they basically have, these are the pies we have. These are the savory pies. These are the sweet pies. And everybody's chatting in line and talking and chatting and talking and chatting and talking. And then you see somebody come in, untie the sign and wheel it down. The minute that thing starts coming down, everybody shuts up. Everybody shuts up. And it's like peeing in church. You can hear a pin drop.
What's going?
And then you see one of them start to erase one, and you hear someone go, "Ah." Then they write something new, and you hear people go, "Oh, wow." And then as the sign is going up, you're like, "Okay, change of plan. Here's what we're going to do." And oh my God, what a crazy day.
It's great. Weirdly, Richmond has a thing for New Zealand, because they've also got Burger Batch.
Burger Batch. It's, yes, when you look at it, it looks like you should call it Burger Bach, and everybody around calls it Burger Bach. But then when you get inside, everyone goes, "Hey, welcome to Burger Batch."
Well, the batch
What
thing,
is up with that?
Well, batch comes from bachelor.
Okay.
Why it doesn't have a T in it, I do not know. But a batch in New Zealand is a bit like what you would call a holiday house, except it's usually like a tin shed stuck somewhere like by a beach or by a lake or whatever. And it comes from a bachelor pad, because there were a lot of men that would come out to New Zealand from, all over the place.
Right.
And then they would have a little shed tucked away somewhere, a little house where they were living. And it was called a batch.
Get a little white man's overbite on?
Well, yeah, they were hoping to get a wife, probably. But they tended to be bachelors, so it was called a batch.
Right.
And so in New Zealand, now here's another interesting thing. So it's called a batch pretty much all over New Zealand.
Right.
But in the bottom of the South Island, particularly in Dunedin, it's called a crib.
Seriously.
It's a crib.
Seriously, it's crib.
It's called a crib.
Wow. That's funny.
It's exactly the same thing.
But it's called a crib.
It's called a crib. I
okay.
do not know why the deep Southerners want to do that, but they do. But it's exactly the same thing.
And there you have it.
So it's always funny when we go to it's burger bar. And all the New Zealanders laugh.
Yeah, of course.
But I mean, they bring in lots of New Zealand beef and lamb and
they
cheese
do.
and wine and
Yeah.
stuff like that. So I don't know why Richmond. I think I'd like to claim responsibility.
I think you do. I think when you paid that visit and you were on TV in Richmond.
That's right.
I got you on
kicked it off.
TV in Richmond.
I kicked it off.
Suddenly, everybody in Richmond was like, "Holy shit, we got to."
Well, I did get a lot of comments about my accent at the James River.
Yeah,
you know,
did.
like,
You did.
and my usual thing is thank you. I worked all my life on it.
Bada bing. Bada bing. So, complete side note: when we got back from Richmond, when we got back from that great time, you for some reason put on. Why did you put on Metallica, Some Kind of Monster? Why did you put that on? Because I got totally sucked into it. I was
don't know.
Whoa, this is good.
I think I'd spotted it last week, and I thought, oh, that's right. I've seen this, so I want T to see it. So I just sort of thought I'd put it on, but it was very interesting.
All right, so
Your hatred of Lars Ulrich is...
it's gone down considerably.
Yes.
It's gone down considerably. So my background when it came to Metallica, chat, you know, they were the up and coming band when I was, I guess, in college, because it was really in the 90s when they came out. Was it?
Well, that's when the Black Album came out.
Well, so then it was around high school.
Yeah.
Metallica was becoming a thing, and I just didn't get metal. I just did not get metal of any kind.
It's because you weren't an angry young man.
Maybe. You're probably right. Savannah just said you guys should head up to Maine.
Oh, we
it's
have a
beautiful
friend
this
up
time of
in
year.
Maine at the moment.
Yeah, we got a friend up in Maine at the moment, Savannah, and that is a state I have never seen.
I've heard good things about it.
I've heard nothing but good things about it.
Do you want to hear another New Zealand connection to that?
What?
My very first article that I ever wrote and got paid for was about a ship that had been buried under the city, because New Zealand...
Maine?
Main thing's coming. And it was used as landfill, basically, when they were reclaiming land from the ocean.
Right.
The ship was from Maine.
Oh, wow.
I got a note from a person who was in Maine, was doing their ancestry, and was related to the person who built the ship.
Wow.
That ended up in Wellington, New Zealand, that I wrote about. That was, I mean, this is back in 2000 and... Gosh.
I will see that.
2000 and gosh. That was when it was.
I will see that pull, that amazing pull, and I will raise.
Oh, you got a more amazing pull than that.
Don't you remember when my first trip ever to New Zealand? Pip takes me to the highest point. Takes me to
Mount.
It was Mount
Victoria.
Mount Victoria
in Wellington.
And there was this really cool like pyramid thing with stars and the Milky Way and all this stuff. And I thought, that's pretty cool. What's down there? And Pip was like, oh, it's a statue to somebody. I don't know who it is. So I said, well, I'm gonna go look. Pip was like, it's such a touristy thing, but okay, let's go down. So we go down, come around the corner, and I read the plaque, and I go, you have got to be shitting me. The statue it was actually a bust. It was a statue dedicated to Richard L. Byrd, a Richmond native.
The Birds are big and
the Byrds were one of the most influential families.
Wasn't one of the Byrds the governor or something at one point? Yeah.
And Richard Byrd was the son of he is one of the most touted names of Richmond. He is the son of Richmond, and he was the first. He was like they said. Oh yeah, Richard Byrd. He trekked across Antarctica.
Yeah.
And he's and it was like what? And I'm like Pip. Apparently, Richmond's been here before. And it's too damn.
It was very funny.
Yeah, this is the place where people go to make out. I'm like,
a
well,
lot
I
of
guess
people...
Richard Byrd would dig that. That's cool.
I bet that statue has seen some things.
I'm sure it has.
Seen some
Maybe
things.
once or twice with you, I bet.
I plead the fifth.
Yeah, right. That's what I thought. Just rub your skull. Anyway, so my thing with Metallica, I did not appreciate their sound. I did not appreciate them as a band, and I just didn't really get into metal. And Pip has been over the years. Well, first she got me over my fear of Bowie, because I was always intimidated by David Bowie. And you kind of got me over that.
Intimidating.
Yeah, and you got me over that fear of Bowie, and I mean, and the good news is I was able to appreciate David Bowie before he passed.
That's true.
So when he did pass, well, that was just a rough week. It started with David Bowie dying and ended with Alan Rickman dying.
Was not a good week.
That was not a good week. Anyway,
they went back to their home planets.
I guess
think
so. So, but as far as Metallica went, I've been kind of getting more and more into Metallica because of Pip, because Pip's a headbanger. You don't know that about her, but she likes to, she likes to thrash. And the thing about the thing about Lars Ulrich, and the thing about Napster, that was really how I knew, or rather really was paying attention to Metallica. And I was one of those people back in the day, early on, when I thought Napster was innocent, and and I was like, I think Metallica needs to just shut up and sleep on their bed of money. But there was this infamous animated short that somebody made on Flash about Lars Ulrich, and me and James Hetfield, and it was
And James went
money good, Napster bad, and and they portrayed James Hetfield as like a Frankenstein character, and Lars Ulrich as a
little running around
munchkin, and was really angry, just everything in the world. But there was a line that I had forgotten about it. I'd forgotten about this line. He said, "the angry Lars Ulrich in this anti-Metallica thing." He said, "Yeah, people are sharing music that we spent maybe 24 or 48 hours putting together."
And I was like, "Wow!"
And so the reason I bring this up is because in this documentary, this fantastic documentary that I recommend to everybody, it's called Some Kind of Monster. The story was that the filmmakers wanted to make they were fans of Metallica. They wanted to make a documentary about Metallica.
About them making an album,
and
next album.
About making their next album. And they were supposed to be there. They said, yeah, we were thinking we would spend maybe 3-4 months with you guys. They wound up spending 3 years filming.
There was a lot of things that went on.
Here's what happened in the time that these guys shot this movie. The bassist left, because he was done with their, as he put it, their shit. Hetfield went into rehab,
and he didn't go near the band for a year.
Lars took on Napster while all this is going on, and the band was about to break up.
Yeah, it was like super close to breaking up.
Right, and I just got sucked into this movie. And therapy sessions, yes. And
the therapy sessions.
And the band went into therapy sessions. And I'm watching all this, and I'm like, holy shit, this is good.
It's a really raw and honest look.
Raw, honest. It is heartbreaking, it is gut-wrenching. And it also does what I think is kind of cool, which really pissed off rock musicians everywhere. They were like, dude, what are you doing? You're being like a pussy, man.
You go into your
3-year-old's ballet class. You're James fucking Hetfield, man.
You got a medal.
You got a medal. And he's like, yeah, I'm a dad, too. And that's the thing. James Hetfield, he is one articulate motherfucker.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, he's all a badass and everything, but you listen to him, and Lars is still the angry dwarf. He is still the angry dwarf.
Yes, but he isn't just the angry dwarf, because
no, he's not.
Because you saw some things then.
His dad listens to some of the records before they release them. That is so fucking badass.
Lars was going to be a tennis player.
Yeah, I know. I mean, but this movie was just really powerful.
I mean, I think as a creative person,
yes,
it was possibly even more interesting to us, because you're like, I mean, writers can collaborate like you and I do, but then when you add like more people in a band situation, it's like even more can be more stressful and more complex. And
Well, that's what they were doing differently. This time they were saying, okay, according to the therapist, we're going to go on ahead and we're all going to have a say.
Yeah.
Instead of James does this and Lars does this and James does...
No, we're all going to have a say.
And it just made things worse. But by the end, they all worked through their shit, and it was just amazing to watch this process of a band right on the brink, and then pull themselves back.
It was interesting to me as well. They were talking about Some Kind of Monster was basically Metallica, the band, the Monolith.
Yeah, the Monolith.
And Hetfield
this was post-Black Album. This was post-Black
and
Album.
Hetfield was talking about how he saw Metallica as a monster that was sucking him in and eating him up and devouring who he was.
Yeah.
And that's almost any kind of person that gets any sort of fame probably has to deal with that. Where do I end and the public persona of me begin?
But, I mean, I was stunned.
Starting to believe your own hype.
Yeah.
Because you could see that Hetfield was doing that.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm standing in front of these thousands and thousands of people, drinking beer, being a badass.
Yeah.
And I am losing myself.
He said, and I'm waking up in bed with a complete stranger next to me, and I'm like, I need to get back to my family.
Yeah.
I need to get back to my little girl. I need to get back to my wife. And I'm like, whoa, and that was what was pissing off the rock and rollers, because they were like, dude, it was too personal. It's like, fuck off, man. You need to have that.
I think there's this weird thing. And it's not just rock and roll. You can also say it's for writers as well.
It's for anybody in the creative field.
But there's this thing that if somebody dies, like, a rock star chokes on their own vomit or dies, gets killed in a bus crash. Writers stick their head in a gas oven and kill themselves. There's a sort of weird mystique about that. Yeah. That they have reached their peak and now they're out.
It's something that
it's almost not attractive when they get older, because now Metallica's like in their 50s and late 50s probably, I think.
Oh no, they're in their 60s now, baby.
No,
are they? Yeah. Are you gonna look it up?
I'm gonna check.
She's gonna check.
Does anyone want to guess how old James Hetfield is right now?
I will say this: you could say the same thing about the fine line that people on Twitch and YouTube. Where do you draw that line? Don't get me wrong, chat. I love you guys.
He's 56.
Oh, dang. He looks good.
He looks good for 56, really actually.
And Mother Dragon with the sub on the Twitch Prime sub. You could use that sub anywhere, but you chose to use it here.
Thank you, Mother Dragon.
Thank you, Mother Dragon. I really do appreciate that. You're pretty awesome, and have a great night too. Thanks for hanging out with us. Really do appreciate that. So anyway, yeah, I would say the same thing about Twitch, about Twitch stars, and I remember. So I was interviewing Dr. Lupo, and I said, what would be the takeaway for you, in your Twitch experience? What would be the takeaway from you? And he thought for a second. He looked at me and he just got this little grin and he said, "Don't take it too seriously." And then he went into in depth the stuff that I quoted in the book. He basically said, I got where I got because of luck. There's no other word for it. I got where I got because I got lucky. And he said, but this could end at any time. So don't take it so seriously. Don't lose yourself. And that's what Some Kind of Monster was about. And by the end of it, I also got their perspective on Napster. And also, that was the other thing. Tying it back to Lars here, I not only got Lars's perspective on Napster, but that line, I'd forgotten about that line about this is music that we spent 24 to 48 hours putting together.
That really pissed me off, because it doesn't matter how much time it
still
belongs to you. And it doesn't matter if you pissed that out in 5 minutes. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But
I love it when she gets riled up. But the thing is, but the other thing is, on top of that, you see their creative process. You see the way they hammer out these songs. And
they don't spit it out in a couple of hours.
And yes, chat, because of Pip, now I can honestly say I don't know if I'm ready at my age to go to a Metallica concert.
I don't know.
Because I did watch, we haven't finished it, but we started watching Through the Never.
Yeah.
And that's just a pretty fucking intense experience.
I don't want to break a hip.
First off, the new bassist they got, that guy's limber as fuck. I mean, he's, at his audition, he was like spread eagle. And he was like,
my gosh,
he was throwing himself into it. But James Hetfield, when he is singing, it's like it is like the darkest nightmare, but really kind of handsome. And
he's yeah.
Oh, Savannah's got hope in us. She goes, "You'll be fine. Just stay towards the back and avoid the mosh pit."
Yeah, not getting in the front. Not getting in the front. Hey, interesting enough, Lars actually has a podcast.
Get out.
He has a podcast.
Really?
He has a podcast that is called It's Electric, where he speaks to other musicians.
Oh, that's cool.
Isn't that interesting?
I could see that.
But yeah, after Napster, he really, I mean, people hated on him a lot. He actually says that. He's like, so what do you think about the Napster? Well, it was part of my plan to become the most hated
man in rock and roll.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, though, but that's the truth of it. Everyone's saying, "Oh, fuck Metallica! I'm gonna burn all my records." Well, first off, one, you already paid for those.
It's like people buying, burning Nikes or whatever.
Or
like,
carrots,
okay, you've already, you're just taking away your own Nikes or your own.
Pi just went. It's electric, boogie woogie woogie,
woogie.
Yeah, but I mean, But I mean, if you paid for that, okay, fine. But the thing is,
it's yours. You can do with it what you like.
But then after that, the album they released was Saint Anger.
Yeah.
And of course, what did Metallica do? We want to shoot a music video in San Quentin. And man, was it badass. And and then they did, but the cool thing was that when they released Through the Never, they did a follow-up 20-minute featurette called Still a Monster.
Yeah, and it was looking back
and it was looking back on it, and I mean, I know Hetfield right now. I know Hetfield right now is
he's gone back. He's had to go back to rehab.
And I think he's got this. He's. I mean, you listen to not just Hetfield. You listen to Ehrlich.
Yeah.
They're intellectual dudes. I mean, Kirk is he's kind of like the
mellow.
He's the mellow surfer dude.
Yeah.
Is it Ricardo who was the bassist?
The new guy.
Yeah.
Trello. God, isn't it? He seemed a bit on the mellow side as well.
He seemed very chill as well.
Hold on, his name is Robert. Trello.
Robert Trello. Yeah, he was very chill as well.
It was interesting that they didn't pick a young bassist.
No,
they picked someone who was about the same age. He's also in his 50s now.
Yeah, which was I think was a smart move.
Yeah.
But one of the other things that I could appreciate about Lars, I didn't realize Lars was into art.
Yeah, he's actually quite a accomplished.
And I'm like, okay, I'm seeing a different side of Lars Ulrich, and then
I think that's.
And I'm sorry. I know rockers were pissed off about the whole scene at the ballet class, but let me tell you something. I think it's pretty freaking badass when your dad with the sleeve tats and the little soul patch, and it's like, holy shit, that's James Hetfield, and he picks up his little girl and he goes, "I'm so proud of you, little girl." I was like, oh, feels.
I think that just goes to show that you get a vague impression of somebody from social media or reading about them in Rolling Stone or whatever.
Yeah.
But that's not the real person. You don't know. Like, for example, Lars has been an activist in support of expanding access to healthcare for U.S. citizens.
Wow.
And he actually raised $32,000 for the Haight-Ashbury Free Clinic in San Francisco during a celebrity edition of the game show Who Wants to Be a Billionaire?
Well, there you have it. But again, and you see that to me is the thing. I mean, there's stuff that I will share.
Yeah.
There was stuff that I will share, but I know that there's like that line. I mean, to be honest, chat, when we were doing our live stream from I'm blanking on the name now. Grandstaff and Steins.
Yes, Grandstaff and Steins.
I was expecting to turn it off at any minute because I remember saying to Pip, I said, "No, I'm not going to stream our anniversary dinner. This is for us. We're just going to keep it to us." But then Pip was having so much fun with it. She was just like, I said, "Do you want me to?" I said, "Do you want me to shut up stream?" She was like, "Nah, let it go." But by that time, we'd had a few scotches. We'd had a few, we'd had a few Moscow mules. We were feeling no pain.
Yeah, we were fine.
Yeah, we were just fine. Okay, I think it's time we wrapped up our stream tonight. Nerd Girl, Savannah, Pie, everybody. Wow, I appreciate all of you guys hanging out. Unicorn, thank you for being the mod with the most. I do appreciate it. I just want to drop in one more quick reminder. This charity is still open. It's going to be open all month. We are going for a vanity goal now of $5,600. This is the charity that we've got going on for able gamers. They create everything from mouth controllers to eye trackers to modified controllers that will help people with disabilities play games. It's hashtag so everyone can game. We're still raising money. We're going to continue to raise money throughout the entire month of October for these folks. And the reason why we're trying to get for $5,600 is because that could put us into the third position for most money raised on Tiltify for these folks. We're not going for the number one position because that is held by Mountain Dew, and we just don't have those numbers.
Let's not be silly.
Let's not get crazy, everybody. So real quick, when are you going to see me again? You're going to see me again Thursday. I do want to give a quick shout out. Do a quick shout out for GameStop.
Oh, yes.
So, as many of you know, my controller's been sort of on the blink. And it's been getting worse. Well, the good news is that I got a protection plan for this.
Which turns out to be a very good idea.
Yeah, and I took it back to GameStop and I said, so when did I buy this controller? Because I figured I bought it like in March or in February. And they looked at it and they said to me, you bought this in June. So I burned through a brand new controller within 4 months. But I got a brand new one. And it only cost me $10, and that was for a protection plan on it for when I go through this one again, because I've been making it a thing now. So I just wanted to say, that's a thing. Anyway, thank you, GameStop. You guys were awesome. I will be back Thursday with Steve, the Blind Gamer Sailor, and we will be grinding through Shadowkeep, doing stuff in Shadowkeep. Hey, Successful Keep, good to see you, my friend. You're coming in just as we're getting ready to log off. Damn it. As I was going to say, I will be back Thursday night with Steve the Blind Gamer Sailor, so feel free to join us there. Friday morning, I will be back flying solo, going through BioShock 2. Saturday, all day Saturday. Saturday morning, I will not be on because I will be heading up to the Maryland Renaissance Festival with my lovely wife. We will be doing a book signing on site at Revel Grove, if at all possible. Look at that. You've got cat butt.
I got cat butt.
You got beautiful cat butt. Benedict.
He just literally bumped Glitchy here.
Come here. There you go. Little cat moment here for you. Well, thanks for the visit, man. I do appreciate it. Let's go on ahead and let's see real quick who is...
Head rubs.
Let's go and see who is on right now, Chad.
Little head rubs.
Does he have what he wants? He wants head
little
rubs?
head rubs. He's
All right.
being very demanding.
He is being very demanding. But that's his way.
That is your way.
All right.
What do you think of Glitchy?
And if anybody is curious, chat, yes, Benedict will be getting an emote. He is one of the emotes that we've got.
Emote.
He's gonna get it. He's gonna have his own emote. But as I was gonna say, so Saturday, if Wi-Fi allows, we will.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. If Wi-Fi allows, I will be doing pop-up streams from Revel Grove. We will be in costume, so we want to share that experience with you. And then, of course, Sunday morning I'll be back with the Sunday Sunrise, where I will be on PC, and I will be grinding away on there. Okay, so let's see who is on. Oh, you know who's on? Richie Munster. Let's go raid Richie. We got to go raid Richie Munster. So hang on a minute. First off, we're gonna do. I want you to go on ahead and copy that line of greeting, and we are going to send all this raid love to Richie Munster, and that's Richie. I got to make sure my glasses are on for this one. RichieMuen.
getting so much kitty love.
S-T-E-R. Yeah, you're getting a lot of Benedict love.
Oh, kitty love.
Raid Richie Munster. Munster. I got that. All right, everybody. Here we go. So thank you all so much for joining us tonight. It was an absolute blast. On behalf of Pip, on behalf of Twitchy, on behalf of Benedict, man, who's getting all the head rubs. Love you guys. I'll see you all Thursday night. Take care of yourselves. Peace.
Bye. What do you think of Twitchy? I'm not too worried about him. He doesn't look like he's dangerous. That's what Benedict says. Hey, little head rubs. I'm going to find you tomorrow and give you drugs.